Hello, so this is the end of September and I don't know if you can see, but as the sun is coming through the trees you can see the autumn colour now, and I'm hopeful that I might get a little bit of a window today to be able to do this, but it's not looking promising in the sense that there's a big grey cloud and it's raining heavily, even though my Met Office weather says that for the next couple of hours it's going to be the least likely time to rain of the whole day. So there we are. So hopefully they're right and I'll get this little bit of time so that I can do, it's right at the end of September and I just want to do my monthly mark making, and I probably wouldn't have left it until the last week, but I have tended to have done the mark making towards the end of each month, and this month I've kind of come unstuck because it looks like the rest of this week is going to be pouring with rain, so not good, but there we are. And it's kind of hazy now, but it's also quite different to how it has been. It's very much colder, the temperature's really dropped in the last couple of days, and I'm sorry if it's juddery, it's just a little bit difficult because I've got all my stuff with me and I'm trying to get this before the rain does really come, so I'm just going to give you a swing round and then I'll get myself set up. And I think you can see that there are real changes now as we're sort of heading now at the beginning of autumn, and the purple has very much gone from the moors now and we've got the heathery browns left. Okay, I'll get set up. So as predicted, the rains came and I had to really pack things in quickly, and then I waited in shelter for a while and then I came back out. So I didn't dare set things up in the same way again because it's just a little bit tricky all on your own. So this is pretty much the finished one, and I just thought I would share with you a little bit of the zoomed in. And I was very kind of random this time. I jumped around an awful lot, twiddled it around, jumped from trees to hedges to close branches to twigs and all sorts of things. So this won't make sense as an entirety, but hopefully, as usual, when you fold it, you get some interesting results. What I can say is this bit at the top here, as I'm just showing you, was the result of the rain when the rains came, but also the sun hitting the heather moors, which are now no longer heather in flower, and you get these really dark patches across, and the light hits and you get the golds and the ochres and the much darker browns and so on. So hopefully this is one area I was trying to get a dark brown and I didn't have it, and when the light hit you do get some of this interesting more orangey brown and reddy brown. And then this actually was a very large sedum in my foreground, and I managed to use some watercolour on that as well as inks. So a whole mishmash. And then as the sun was hitting, there was really dark canopies of trees, and that's what I was trying to capture with the rather not sort of en masse enough, but that's compressed charcoal there as the darks, and then the greens, whereas the light was hitting the fields. And then this big swathe, I felt like I wanted to put a big swoosh of green because the sun was hitting right across the valley, the greens of the fields. So that's pretty much it. Oh, I did manage to get in the distance, and the pen was hitting and missing. I was actually, those very fine lines was where I was actually looking at the electricity pylons in the great distance. So a whole mishmash of things going on here. Anyway, I'll stop there, but hopefully once it's folded, we'll see some interesting effects again. And hopefully you can see now how it has changed and the autumn colours are starting to creep in. So here we are. Here is the September booklet, and I will just take you through it in the usual way. So some of these pages, interestingly, I think it varies from month to month, but some of them have got much more white space, and I haven't actually added and edited any of these booklets yet, and time will tell whether I do that. There's a bit of me that thinks I should be adding collage and more detail, but there's another bit of me that thinks I just want to leave them alone. So I need to have a bit of a review before I make that decision. But anyway, I quite like the effects I'm getting here with the inks, because most of this turquoise and blues are inks, and then when you trail the pencil through you get some really nice effects, and obviously the usual splatters and things that come about from having the wet paper and things that happen on location, because all of this is done on location. And that is the nice big sort of smudgy charcoal mark that was actually compressed charcoal. And this is very reminiscent of the moors at this time of year from the distance, where you see a lot of the colour of that kind of goldy colour of the ground and of the soil, and you see patches of sort of reddy brown, which is where the heather is, but in any event the light was hitting that kind of gold, I think, from memory of what was happening there. And then these are the stone walls in the distance that I can see. So I'm kind of reflecting and seeing what the marks are and actually thinking about them in a representative way, but that's inevitable, I think, when you're looking at that view. One thing that is quite interesting is the variety that you do get, even though you'd think there wouldn't be that much change throughout the months. I think there's a lot of sort of serendipity that happens, and that's the value of doing this type of a booklet, I think, and these types of things. So let me go on to the next page. Now, this is really one of the things I did want to say, and I was going to say it just now and then I lost my trail of thought, is that throughout these books there are certain pages, you make a decision on which way round it is, but certain pages are better one way and better the other. So, you know, inevitably you don't have a whole book that looks exactly right that way round. So, and that doesn't really matter. So this one you could argue was originally the other way around, but I kind of quite like it like that. And I love these rich colours. This is actually some burnt sienna paint, and lots of sprayed water added onto that. and then it's mixed in with the inks in a rather lovely way. You get this kind of rustiness to it, and actually quite reminiscent of autumn, which is actually quite a nice thing that's happened by chance. And then the inks there, and you can see where the spots of water have been sprayed. And some of it, because I was jumping between rain showers, some of it might well have been the rain on it actually, which always adds to the effect of it. I have noticed that the more extreme the weather when I'm doing these things, the more interesting the books become. So that's one takeout. Okay, so much kind of harsher really, much more lines, many more lines on this one, or it feels that there are. I think it's as much more white space as well. And inevitably, all sorts of things that I was following the line of that have contributed to those lines, from twigs to stone walls to field patterns and so on. And this is the advantage, I guess. You get such a variety of marks and colours. Quite interesting. And in this one, I quite like the way that it's actually probably upside down compared to how it was actually created, but I actually like the way the greens have mixed in. I don't think I could have ever set about doing that on purpose. And I love the way the kind of gold is sort of like underneath it, sort of seeping underneath, almost like there's a glow there. These interesting marks and messiness of pencil, or the graphite sticks against, or that pencil I use against the charcoal. Quite like those sorts of variety but similarity. And then this is the last page. This is an interesting one actually, because I remember why I was using that rather lovely red, and that's actually a watercolour. That's Venetian red, I think, and it's I think it's Venetian red, and it's one of the Wallace Seymour vintage watercolours, and that's mixed in with the ink. And what I was in mind of, I think, when I was looking at using that, was that in the foreground, or quite close to me, there were these sedums that were in flower, and you've got that rich rusty red, and that was where that was kind of coming from. And these were just fields that were like green slithers. So it kind of is put together now in a very different way, and the way that the ink has sort of splurged in, or maybe that's just the watercolour with the spray on it, I don't know. And the way the lines have formed is quite a nice contrast to the sensitivity and sort of very gentle effect of those sorts of lines against the very harsh, clunky lines of the charcoal. Is quite an interesting contrast. And then you've got the pencil lines, so it's kind of lots of variety again in that. So there you are, that's the September book. And I'm now starting to think quite carefully about how I'm going to put the covers onto all of these. So I've just got 3 months left to do, actually, or this year to do. And it's actually been a really interesting sort of approach. So if you haven't seen the other months, then please do go and check back. I'll put the link to the playlist in the notes of this one. And the playlist just has all of them month by month from January on up until now. And obviously we're now in October, and so I'll be doing October's very soon. And I'll probably devote a whole session actually to the covers. So thank you again very much for watching, and please do like and subscribe. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on your take on this, and whether you've tried anything similar, and whether you'd be interested in trying anything similar. And yes, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.